Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome back to Art. Today we're going to review a term that we learned a little bit about right at the beginning of the year, and we've used it at least one other time, I believe, since then, and that term is symmetry. So you'll remember, since you're smart, I know all of you are, that symmetry, we say in art at least, the easy kind of, Hey everybody, how are you? Welcome back to art class. So today we are going to review a term that we learned pretty early on in the year, and we've used at least one other time, and that term is symmetry. For our easy to remember definition that we use in art class, we say that symmetry is when something is kind of the same on both sides. Now we know, because we've dealt with radial symmetry, also that that's not always true. Symmetry can mean more than just the same on both sides. There's different kinds of symmetry, but that's the one that we kind of use to keep in our brain to help us remember kind of quickly what symmetry is. So there's a bunch of different kinds of symmetry, and the specific one that we are working with, if I can speak correctly, we are working with today is called mirrored symmetry. Now, mirrored symmetry, as again, I'm sure you remember because you're all smart, is when something has the same stuff on both sides except it's flipped around. So this is symmetry. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers and a thumb. This is mirrored symmetry. 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers and a thumb. It's the same stuff, it's just flipped around backwards. Kind of like you're looking into a mirror. If you had a shape that you could open up like a book, that would be mirrored symmetry. Now, we've discussed that there's a lot of symmetry in nature, and one of the really good examples of mirrored symmetry in nature are these folks, butterflies. Butterflies have symmetrical wings. They have the same patterns, same colors, and the same spots on each wing. The only difference is that it's mirrored, right? The same stuff is there, it's just flipped around backwards from one to the other. So that's why today, for our project, we're going to draw some butterflies. Now hopefully you watched the video up above here. Super cool, really interesting view of a swarm, they called it, of monarch butterflies. Hopefully you watched that, so you're already sort of starting to think about butterfly colors and patterns and shapes and stuff like that. You are going to have an option to make your butterfly as simple as you want or as realistic as you want. There's no right or wrong answer, it's up to you. Down below me, nope, above me, or is it below? This gets confusing. Somewhere on this webpage, you will see 2 different kind of butterfly outlines. That's what I mean when I say one's going to be simple, one's going to be more realistic. That's a good starting point for you. And then, once you've got that figured out, in the rest of this video, we'll talk about filling those wings in with shapes and patterns, which again, you can choose simple or realistic. All right, that's all I got to say about that. Let's draw us some butterflies. All right, for our butterflies, you're going to want a piece of paper, something to draw with, and definitely some crayons so you can make some bright, awesome, colorful butterflies. Now, for my example, I'm going to go with the more simple version of the butterfly. It'll work kind of the same way to start off with, and then at that point, if you're making the more realistic one, obviously those wing shapes are going to be different. But for the start, I'm going to draw my butterfly's body, and that's just going to be like a long, skinny oval shape. I'm gonna give him some antennas with some curved lines, some little circles on the ends if I wanted to. Now, for the wings, that's where you get to decide if you want it to look simple or realistic. Like I said, I'm going with simple. So I'm gonna think of the number 3, except the top part of my number 3 is going to be much bigger than the bottom part of my number 3. Like that. So now on the other side, I'm gonna draw the same shape, but it's going to be flipped over the other way. And it's really hard to draw like perfectly 100% symmetrical unless you're measuring and things like that. So just as close as you can get, that's what we want. All right, so I've got my outlines. Now it's time to use lines and shapes and patterns to kind of split up the different areas of the wings. Again, if you want it to be realistic, your patterns and shapes will look different than if you want it to be simple. If you want it to be simple, you can use whatever shapes you want. You can use polka dots or triangles or whatever. But if you're going for realistic, then there's another example of one of our monarch butterflies on the site that you can look at to kind of help you figure out what sort of shapes you would want. I'm gonna go with simple, except I'm gonna sort of, I guess, base maybe the shapes that I use on some of what the real shapes would look. So it's gonna be maybe a combination for me. Now, the mirrored part is gonna be important. It would be really hard if I filled in this whole wing with all my awesome shapes and then decided to come over here and do it. It would be tough to completely repeat all those over here. It's a little easier if you do one shape here and then go over to the other wing and do the opposite shape over there. You might be able to fill in the whole wing first and then do this other one because our brains work differently. But for me at least, the easiest thing to do is whichever shape I start with over here, before I do anything else, I'm gonna go over here and do its opposite mirrored shape on the other wing. It's just easier for me to keep track of. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and fill in the rest of the wings with my patterns. Okay, so there are my patterns in my wings. I think I made one little mistake with my mirrored symmetry. This shape looks pretty identical to that. I don't know that I did a very good job of flipping that over, but hey, I'm doing my best. That's all we can hope for. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and color this real quick just so you can see kind of the finished thing, and then you guys can get started on yours. Now with colors, I'm not gonna try and do anything even remotely realistic. I'm just gonna use whatever colors I want. The important part is I'm gonna keep that symmetry, that mirrored symmetry happening with the colors I decide to use where. And there we go. That is my finished butterfly. So remember, you can make it as simple as you want or as realistic as you want. That is entirely up to you. The important thing is mirrored symmetry. So the same stuff over here should be over here, just flipped over. If you want to add a background to yours, that's fine. Can't wait to see everybody. So hope you're doing well. See you guys later. Bye.